Hey everybody, welcome to using fundamental data for backtests within Zipline. This tutorial is going to show you how to get set up using Zipline on your home computer and also how to integrate Sharadar's SF1 and SEP datasets within your backtests. This tutorial is going to assume that you have some basic knowledge of using the command line. This tutorial is for Mac OS, so if you're on Mac OS, great. If not, I'm sure you could follow along using Windows or Linux. You'll just have to make basic changes to some of the steps. And if you are on Mac OS, I'm going to assume that you have either Homebrew or MacPorts installed. This tutorial uses Homebrew, so it'll probably be easier to follow along, but I imagine you could get by with MacPorts as well. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is clone this repository, the one that we're viewing the README of right now, into the directory of your choice. So I have a directory within my home directory called S. I just call it S because it's short and easy to get to when I'm using the command line. So cd s, we are now in that directory, and we're going to git clone. So you should be able to see that pop up. And there it is. Okay, so the next step is going to be installing the correct version of Python using pyenv. So as of right now, while this video is being recorded, and you can check this in the future too by going to zipline.io, Python 2.7 and 3.5 is supported. I like to use pyenv because it associates the directory that we're working with the virtual environment that we're about to create. If you don't know what a virtual environment is, you should definitely go check that out. So let's get started. Just a thing to note is that this might be a tricky part of the tutorial for you. You might have to do a little bit of troubleshooting on your own. When I was installing pyenv, I actually had to run this command, and I found this command on this Medium tutorial. This was just somebody walking through the steps that they had to take to get pyenv to install. If that command doesn't work, check out this page. This is the official pyenv troubleshooting page, so just look for the error that you're getting and you should be able to resolve it on this page. Okay, but I've already done all that, so I'm just gonna install pyenv with Homebrew, which it's already installed, so it's going to be quick. Okay, already installed. It should work for you as long as you have Homebrew installed. Brew install readline. Already installed. Now pyenv install 3.5.5, and I did just do this before recording the tutorial. It already exists. Continue with installation. No, because I already have it. And at this point you should have Python 3.5.5 installed using pyenv. And how you check that is this next command, pyenv versions, and you see it pop up. So you should see system if you're on Mac, because Mac has a system version of Python, and 3.5.5. So that's all well and good. Now what we're going to do is navigate to the directory that we cloned the repository into. So Springbok, cd s/Springbok. Okay, and I should probably mention Springbok is the name of the company that I am doing the summer project for. Should give them a shout out, right? And we're going to say pyenv local 3.5.5, and that's how you set this local directory to default to that version of Python. Now you do have to run this command, and watch out for that writer's quote. And at this point we should be able to run python -- version, and we'll get Python 3.5.5. Okay, great. Just a super quick note, I ran into this problem a bunch. If you zoom in on this quote right here, you see how this one is straight up and down and this one comes down and angles to the left. I'm not exactly sure what that style of quote is called, but if you copy and paste a command into terminal and it has one of those different looking quotes, it's not going to work. Just a life pro tip for you. Alright, we're back at it, and we have the correct version of Python, so we need to install Zipline's dependencies and then Zipline itself. So we're going to run pip install -- upgrade pip, and this just brings pip up to the latest version. Okay, we were at pip 9, but now we're at pip 10. Great. Now pip install numpy. Okay, I see a little red in there, but no fatal errors, so we should be okay. Pip install pandas. Zipline makes pretty heavy use of pandas, so it's worth getting used to pandas if you're not familiar with it. And that installed okay. Pip install Python. That worked as well. Pip install -U setup tools. Okay, and pip install matplotlib. This isn't required for Zipline to work, but it is nice to be able to visualize your backtest results after you run them. So there we go, pip install matplotlib. Okay, so now we have all the dependencies for Zipline, and we're actually going to install a slightly modified branch of Zipline. It's my branch. So git clone this repository into the directory of your choice. So I'm just going to go put it in cds again. So cds and git clone. Just want to show it to you guys popping up. Great. And that's going to take a minute, so we're going to pause the video and come back. Okay, so now we're actually going to install the local version of Zipline that you just downloaded. You could have just pip installed from the GitHub repository, but I think it's actually worth having the local copy of Zipline so that you can edit it if you want. You will run up against things where you think, hey, you know, I might like to make this change. So we're going to go find Zipline, that's the repo that just popped up, pick any file or folder in there, and Command I, copy the where. Okay, now go back to the command line where you were in the Springbok repository, the original repository. So you can see we're in Springbok, and pip install that repository. And that is also going to take a minute, so we're going to pause the video and come back when it's done. When that is finished installing, you should get a message that looks like this. And now it's time to download the data from Quandl and process it so that we can then run backtests. So we're going to go to quandl.com. You can use these two links to get to where you want to go. Here is where you would download the SEP dataset if you had an account, and here is where you would download the SF1 dataset. I have already downloaded them, so what you're going to want to do is unzip them. There they are. And when you're in the Springbok directory, you're going to want to run a file called makeDirs.py. And I'll show you what that's going to do. Go to Springbok. Okay, so this file right here. So Python makeDirs.py. That's going to create a folder structure that you're going to put the files that you just unzipped in data downloads, and then processdata.py is going to process those files into a different format that's going to be easier to work with within Zipline. So you can move those files over into data downloads, and then you're going to want to run process_data.py. Just a thing to note about processdata.py is that it's going to take a while. I tried to help you guys out. I multi-processed the file. I tried to work on the algorithm to get it to be more efficient, but it's probably going to take at least an hour. So we're going to run that and come back when it's done. Process data. Oh, I'm sorry. Python process_data.py, and see you in a couple hours. Alright, so you can see on our command line that it says bundle prep is finished. That means that the pricing data is finished processing. The pricing data does not take as long as the fundamental data to process, so we can actually ingest the data bundle, the pricing data bundle, while fundamentals is still working. You might want to just open up a new terminal window. Okay, yep, we're still in Springbok. Make sure we still have the right Python version. We do not, so we need to go and type this in again, eval pyenv init dash. Okay, and now we should have the correct pyenv version. Yes, we do. Okay, so the data bundle is a format that Zipline uses to look up pricing data internally. I'm pretty sure it uses SQLite. It's just faster than using CSVs. So to do that, first thing we need to do is modify a file called extension.py. And that can be tricky to find. I can definitely show you how to find it on Mac. You're going to want to navigate to your username file, or directory, sorry. An easy way to find that is just to navigate pretty much anywhere within your Mac. Right-click here at the top of Finder, and above users it should be your username. Okay, so a trick to reveal hidden files and folders, and it is hidden on Mac, is hold Command and Shift and press period. Okay, so that reveals all hidden files and folders. Find .zipline, and here is extension.py. So drag that into whatever text editor you want to use to edit it. I like PyCharm. Okay, so here's the file that we need to modify. The first thing that you want to check to make sure is that your start session and end session are the correct dates. And how you're going to do that is you're going to go back to the Springbok repository, go into processed data, pricing, daily, and pick Apple, because Apple always has more or less perfect data because they're such a publicly visible company that Sharadar never messes up their data. So the first date is 2013-0102. There it is, 2013-0102. I changed that variable previously, so I don't have to change it now. You probably will have to change it. Also, make sure that it's time zone aware and just set it to UTC. End session, PD timestamp, 2018-703. I think I pre-filled that variable as well. 2018-703. Yep, so that's all set. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to register the data bundle to a certain name. I chose Sharadar pricing. I encourage you to just do the same. Make sure everything else matches, except this string right here needs to be the directory where your pricing data is. So easy way to do that is go back and click on this daily directory, Command I, just copy the where and paste that in there, okay? And you want to make sure that there's a slash after it. It wasn't there before, but you want to make sure that that's there. Okay, calendar name, NYSE, start session, end session. Just make sure that everything matches up. And now we can ingest the data bundle. Make sure to save it if your text editor makes you save things. So here is where you can see all your pricing data bundles, and you'll see after I run the ingest function that there will be a directory Sharadar pricing here. Okay, so we need to go back to the command line and run zipline ingest -b Sharadar -pricing. Okay, and let me just go back to my own README to make sure I'm not messing up. Yep, zipline ingest -b Sharadar pricing, and let's run it. Okay, so it looks like it's going to work. We'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so it seems like the data bundle ingested successfully. I don't see any errors here, and we can go in and check. So in the .zipline directory, there is a Sharadar pricing folder now. Okay, and so long as there's stuff in it, then it ingested successfully. Great. So now we're just waiting for the fundamental prep process to finish. You can see bundle prep is finished. I think it'll print fundamentals prep is finished once the other process finishes. Alright, so you can see here that everything finished. Fundamentals prep is finished and done. Should print when processdata.py is finished. I just went ahead and make sure that everything works before I started recording again. Make sure you have the correct Python version, and then you're going to run python basic backtest.py. Okay, python basic _ backtest.py, run it, and that is this file right here within the repository, and here is the file itself. Definitely go in and check out what's going on in here. I commented out as best as I could, but I just wanted to show you the modification that I made to Zipline within my branch. So data frame loaders is an argument that you pass to Zipline's run algorithm function, and that's where the fundamental data actually gets sent into Zipline's inner machinations. You can see exactly where I got this idea on this Zipline GitHub issue. Quick shout out to Jonathan Larkin and Scott Sanderson for helping me get started. Here is some code that I definitely borrowed some concepts from. And here is Scott Sanderson helping both John and myself, there's me, troubleshoot why our code wasn't working. Okay, so it looks like, yep, matplotlib is working. You can see our portfolio value over time, and that is just executing our trading logic, which you can see here before trading start. I have just some basic trading logic with a pipeline with fundamental data, and there you go.
We gon' build a kingdom in